The following program may contain subject matter and language suitable for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And welcome back to another episode of The Meltdown. He's Jeff.
And he's Norm.
And we have a third host today, Rutger, who is actually standing right behind us.
Oh, didn't notice him.
You know what? I lied. That's fake news. Because today, Rutger is actually one of the crew. So
I see.
He's going to be handling the graphics for us today. Thanks, Rutger. But what is fake news, Jeff? What is it?
News that isn't real, news that isn't researched, news that where they don't get all the facts.
You know what? You're right on the money, because fake news is comprised of a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different things that make up fake news. And we're going to take a look at that in our fun facts. Then we've got Luigi Saracino joining us. And then we're going to look at some really funny, fake, or badly worded news clippings that will suggest something completely different than what they're actually reporting. So first, let's start the show the way we always do. And this is not fake, with some Meltdown, real, fake fun facts. So today, it's explained. What is fake news? Lots of things you read online, especially in your social media feeds, may appear to be true. Often is not. Fake news is news. Stories are hoaxes created to deliberately misinform or deceive readers. Usually these stories are created to either influence people's views, push a political agenda, or cause confusion, and can often be profitable business for online publishers. Fake news stories can deceive people by looking like trusted websites or using similar names and web addresses to reputable news organizations. And here's the fun part, the types of fake news. There are differing opinions when it comes to identifying types of fake news. However, when it comes to evaluating content online, there are various types of fake or misleading news we need to be aware of. These include clickbait. These are stories that are deliberately fabricated to gain more website visitors and increase advertising revenues for websites. Clickbait stories use sensational headlines to grab attention and drive click-throughs to the publisher's website, normally at the expense of truth or accuracy. Number 2, propaganda. Stories that are created to deliberately mislead audiences, promote a biased point of view, or particular political case or agenda. Number 3, satire or parody. Lots of websites and social media accounts publish fake news stories for entertainment and parody. For example, The Onion, Waterford Whispers, The Daily Mash, etc. Number 4, sloppy journalism. Sometimes reporters or journalists may publish a story with unreliable information or without checking all of the facts, which can mislead audiences. For example, during the U.S. election, fashion retailers Urban Outfitters published an election day guide. The guide contained incorrect information telling voters that they needed a voter registration card. This is not required by any state in the U.S. for voting. Number 5, misleading headlines. Stories that are not completely false can be distorted using misleading or sensationalist headlines. These types of news can spread quickly on social media sites where only headlines and small snippets of the full article are displayed on audience news feeds. Biased or slanted news for our last, number 6. Many people are drawn to news or stories that confirm their own beliefs or biases, and fake news can prey on those biases. Social media news feeds tend to display news and articles that they think we will like based on our personalized searches. So there you go. All kinds of different types of fake news. Now, you know, the clickbait one I find interesting because if you go on to, I don't know, sometimes email programs, whatever, and if you happen to get advertisements, you'll see sometimes, like I remember seeing, Sly Stone, a terrible thing happened to Sly Stone, or somebody died or whatever this, and it's just, it's exactly that. It's like people go, oh my God, what is that? And they click it. And of course, this is what the advertisers want. So, but folks, to be honest, I mean, you got to use common sense in most of these cases. Now, I understand that there's news articles that are written that you don't know if they're fake or not, because they may sound like a person really knows what they're talking about. Right. So I guess it's good to what? How do we prevent getting sucked in by fake news? If we hear something that we're maybe not sure about, or something we're interested in, maybe we should research different articles written about it, or I don't know. What do you think? How do we avoid it?
It all comes down to stay off the internet. Really,
just stay the fuck off the internet. That's right.
It's like that TV commercial where the little girl says, instead of looking things up, we should just look up. That may sound funny,
oh my God, I love that.
but I love that. Yeah, wow. I'm getting so turned off by I get a lot of these mailing lists for things I believe in, and I've unsubscribed from so many mailing lists, and these are things. A lot of these are caused, and I felt guilty about some of them, but I've had it. And this is how the show began in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I've had it with getting 75 emails a day. I don't quite get 75, but it feels like it. I've had it. I've had it with the internet. I mean, there's some good things, and I'm not saying I never look at the internet.
That's right.
But I've reduced it a lot because, man, again, this sounds corny. I got to get outside where there's nature. I spend so much less time online. I get this person updated this Facebook, and I can't be off of Facebook completely because it is helpful in some respects. For my acting career, I find out about auditions or somebody's got a show coming up. That's stuff. But and we've talked about this before on the show. People who update their lives every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So just the internet in general. So fake news, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of it. And I see those whatever clickbait things, you know what I mean? Like this person has died, or whatever. And of course they actually haven't died, it's just, the internet, there's some good things. There's so much bad stuff.
Okay, to give us his comedic take on fake news, please welcome the real Lou Saracino and a Meltdown Minute with Lou.
Hey everybody, this week we're talking about fake news. We're talking about tabloids, which in my mind are different, right? Generally, if you see a tabloid, if you see a National Enquirer headline, you're pretty clear that it's bullshit. Like if it says JFK had a family of space weasels, you go, well, that probably didn't happen, or it might. I don't know. I don't know much about JFK or history or anything in general, to be honest. My point is this. We live in a time, folks, where we doubt every piece of information that we get, and I find that interesting because advertising is something that's been with us 60, 70, 80 years. And we are very comfortable with the idea that there is a product that will complete our lives, that will make us better as people. We have no problem with that. But a fake video, all of a sudden, does anybody else see the vein in my head throbbing? I don't understand the world that we live in very much at all. And I'll tell you something else. Back in my day, there was something called a Mr. Microphone, right? So this is how this worked. Yeah, a bunch of guys in a car, they're driving around, and they'd see a woman on the sidewalk, and then they had a microphone that they could wire into the radio so that you could go, hey, good looking! And then they're surprised at the end of the commercial that she's not. It can't just be me. Is it me? I don't think it's just me. You see what I mean? And yet we were still like, I need more Mr. Microphones. At some point, you just gotta. I'm exasperated.
Thank you very much, Lou. And now for some Meltdown fake news, stupidness. All right, from the Wait What department, 25 crazy news headlines. Jeff and I are going to look at these here. You at home can look at them here.
Wow.
Let's start with number 1.
Okay.
In the sports news, the Rangers get whiff of colon.
Yeah, I think that one was intentional. And he was pitching to Rugnet Odor, probably, right? They got a whiff of cologne and of Rugnet Odor.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Cologne and odor.
I don't know if he's pitching to Rugnet Odor, but possibly.
Possibly. All right, here's our second one. Ford Reagan neck in a presidential primary.
Well, that's nice that they got along.
Yeah, I think they forgot a neck.
Right, neck
right?
and neck.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess what do they say? Political bedfellows.
Exactly.
Moving on. Here's one. A student excited. Dad got head job.
Well, she still wants to see her father. Like her father's entitled to be romantic. So it's like, Dad, you deserve to be with somebody. So maybe she just
I don't think that's what it means, Jeff.
I know, but I'm just trying to.
I just don't think that's what it means. I keep on. All right, moving on. Statistics show that teen pregnancy drops off significantly after age 25.
Wow, I think it drops off significantly after age 19. Just
yeah, I think when you hit 20, it's over. It's done. Okay, moving on. We've got this one. One-armed man applauds the kindness of strangers. This was a repeat. I remember this one from our first season, but I still think the way that they word these things, like they don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Which in this case is actually kind of insulting. I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was an
Why is it
intentional
underlined?
joke. Because somebody wanted to underline it to make sure that we saw the headline. Anyway.
Is that the one-armed man right there?
Yeah, no, that's...
Wasn't that the fugitive?
All right, we're getting way off topic here. Moving on. Lady jacks off to hot start in conference.
Well, if you're excited.
Well, I think it's Lady Jax, who was off to her start in the conference. And it just, again, an unfortunate use of words that mean something completely different to most of us.
Yeah.
Moving on, homicide victims rarely talk to police. I think that pretty much goes without saying.
Yeah.
Although I would say they never do.
I'd say they never, yeah. I think it's like 1 in 100.
Like, yeah, 1 in 100 is just almost dead. And they're saying to the cop, and someone else is saying, what did he say? He goes, I think he said, get my knee off his chest.
Get smart.
Yeah. Okay, next one. A-Rod goes deep. Wang hurt.
Which player was Wang?
But A-Rod went deep and hurt the Wang, apparently. So
they're carrying him. Yeah. I don't think that's actually him.
No.
I don't think he was number... In fact, A-Rod was number 13, if I'm not
Maybe
mistaken.
That's Wang, I think.
Who was... I know the player name. I know the player's last. Anyways, A-Rod.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
A-Rod goes deep. All right, there you go. I bet you it's not the first time he's heard that either. All right, moving on. Waterford boy 8 saves sister's life. But if you take a really close look, he said, I wouldn't do it again. She's been a pain this week.
Well, at least he's being honest. Although, you got to put your differences aside if somebody that you love is in peril and save their life again.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the moral right here.
Yeah. All right, next one. Porn star sues over rear end collision.
There should be rules on set.
That's right. It was an accident. Now, had the director said action, there wouldn't have been a suit, right? It would have been part of the movie.
Were they wearing suits, or were their suits already
I don't know.
taken off?
Birthday suits, apparently.
Oh, birthday
Jeff,
suits.
come on.
Yes,
Come on. Okay, moving on. Jets Patriots jump head goes Harry Balderskivich, Jeff. I'm not sure what happened there. I get the sense here that someone was testing the how much space they had because they wanted to say something, and it kind of got printed that way because I don't know.
I would assume that the Patriots won the game since the Patriots have, I believe, I don't follow the NFL that closely, but the Patriots have won a lot more games than your Jets of late.
Yeah.
When's the last time the Jets have been to the Super Bowl?
Well,
the
I don't know.
Patriots have been there quite often.
I have no idea.
So perhaps that's what, I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe it was a game played in Europe in a non-English speaking country.
That's possible.
Because the NFL is playing in Europe these days, so I think it's usually in England where they speak English.
Okay, maybe. All right. You guys at home figure that out. We're going to move on here. Police crack found in man's buttocks.
Yeah, well, not many of them are sealed.
Yeah. Enough said. Girls' school still offering something special. Head. Now, this was also a repeat of the one we did in the last season,
right?
Which I think was 2 or 3, because, of course, head refers to head of a department.
Yes, of course.
This was the quote. But Yeah. Where is that girls' school? I mean, I know that's a terrible thing to say.
She looks like she's excited about it. Like, oh,
Well,
I can hardly wait to give the news.
I guess so. Okay, moving on.
I don't know.
Study shows frequent sex enhances pregnancy chances.
Yes.
No shit, Sherlock. I mean, really? Does anyone have to actually say that? Isn't that kind of a given? I don't...
More often you have sexual intercourse, chances are.
Chances are. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Utah Prison Control Center reminds everyone not to take poison. Oh, sorry. Utah Poison Control Center reminds everyone not to take poison.
Well, it's still good to hand out those warnings. That way, people can say that the Utah Poison Control Center is probably just making sure that they're very thorough so they don't get accused of being derelict in their duties.
You think maybe they're just justifying the money they get every year? You know, well, we put out this statement that did say avoid taking poison.
Well,
so.
you know, it's like the coffee. Sometimes you get a coffee. I don't think on the coffee you're drinking, but you know, cautions contents.
Oh yeah.
Because didn't somebody sue somebody? I mean, they did a Seinfeld
that was
episode.
McDonald's. That was years and years ago.
So
that's what started the whole litigious nonsense.
Caution, contents hot. My coffee is hot. I can't believe it.
No kidding. Okay, next one. Condom truck tips spills load. Oh yeah.
I'm going to do a Lou here. Okay, where do I begin with this? You know when Lou's got like at least 17 thoughts going through his head?
Yeah.
That's kind of how my reaction is to this. It's like, okay, to begin with. I'm glad, guys. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, you know what we should do is we should show these to Lou and get his take on them at some point. Maybe we'll do that next. Yeah. Okay.
Was the condom truck wearing a big condom but it fell off and?
I don't know, Jeff. That's a bit of a stretch. Moving on.
Bit of a stretch. Wow, it's a condom.
It's extra large. Next one. Deer with big rack female. It turns out. Well, there you go. Enough said. Okay, and here's our next one. City unsure why the sewer smells. Because normally, in our city, the sewers smell like roses. Everything's just wonderful. Why people get hungry walking by our sewers.
Maybe it's a particular smell that they're trying to figure out.
I believe that's the case. But again, in the headline, right, it actually gives you a different look at it, which is not the look that's in the article.
Right. Okay. I get it.
All right. So moving on. Chick accuses some of her male colleagues of sexism.
I assume her last Laura Chick is her name. Okay. Yeah, I know.
But look at that. I mean, just if you didn't read the article, right? It'd be like this, you know.
Yeah, that's one of those things where because I believe it's editors that actually do the headlines. Whoever comes up with the headlines. Yeah. Okay, we've got to find a different way of. We've got to find a different headline for that because you're right.
I think quality control is absent.
Quality control is over.
All right, moving on. 17 remain dead in morgue shooting spree. So
that's not even funny.
No, but
I mean it is, but it isn't.
It isn't funny, but it's
funny.
You know, it's okay. And next one. Local child wins gun from fundraiser.
Only in America.
Yeah. This one is probably accurate. This is probably the only real story because I believe in America.
Their last name is Graves, and they've won a gun, and their last name is Graves.
Yeah, well, that's fitting. All right, just a few left here. What do we got? Puerto Rican teen named Mistress of the Universe. Well... she's got some big shoes to fill.
I know. Big Miss Universe was big enough shoes to fill, but Mistress of the Universe.
Well, that's...
I mean, where do you begin?
Well, your duties include...
At least she's smiling.
Listen, we're sending you to this all-girls school because there's something special going on. Okay. All right, next one. Tiger Woods plays with own balls, Nike says.
Oh, yes. The old playing with your balls. Like, there's an old clip of Nixon with, is it Spiro Agnew? Probably.
Spiro
Agnew, pardon me. Anyways, he says the vice president. Spiro Agnew was the vice president, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and he says, I think the quote is, the vice president has one of his balls to give you as well. Nixon was not often aware of what he was saying.
That's true. Okay, so here we go. Second last one. Keegan fills Smikle's gap with semen.
After the condom truck flipped over.
Okay. And our last crazy headline. Woman in sumo wrestler suit assaulted her ex-girlfriend in gay pub after she waved at man dressed as a Snickers bar.
Whoa, that's a complicated scenario.
This is a headline, though, that, is... First of all, it's really too much. Like, it's practically the whole story. If this is what happened, if these are just the facts, well, what did you see? I saw a woman in a sumo wrestler suit. She assaulted her ex-girlfriend in this gay pub, but after she waved at a man dressed as a Snickers bar, it doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't even want to read this story, but I remember this was a repeat as well. But I just thought it would be fun to go back to it. So crazy news headlines, and could arguably be fake news in the way that they present the concept of the story, but then when you read the story, you find out that's not what it meant. So I guess it's a good lesson. Funny as it was, I think it's a good lesson to really pay attention to what you're reading, and I guess you kind of have to decide for yourself. But if you're only getting certain facts, you make your decision based on the facts you have, right? So it's tough. It's tough to know what's real and what's not. One thing that is real is Jeff and I. We're real. And the show is real, and we're going to be back next week. It's our 10th and final episode of this season, and it's going to be with Lou Saracino. Yes. Lou Saracino is going to join us right here. Right here. We're going to, actually, Jeff and I are going to stay this close, and we're going to have Lou kneel behind us and just pop his head forward. And we are going to have a roundtable rant/discussion on shitty drivers.
Oh, yeah.
Now, we did, was it season 2 or 3? We did a whole episode on shitty drivers, and man, oh man, did we ever have a lot to complain about. And that is going to be the case next week, because it's going to be ranty. I'm going to tell you, we're going back to our roots for this one. And I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know what we're going to say. So, bring earplugs if you're easily offended. And if you're a really shitty driver, maybe you shouldn't watch, because you're not going to feel good about yourself after the show, I'm pretty sure. Until then, just remember, if you see a woman in a sumo wrestler suit assaulting her ex-girlfriend in a gay pub after she waves at a man dressed as a Snickers bar, chances are that's fake news. I'm Norm.
And I'm Jeff.
See you next week.